Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Blogger Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Jillian Leslie. I am a serial entrepreneur and blogger. I have been at this for a very long time. We started by building Catch My Party in 2009. We've grown it into the largest party idea site on the web. We also offer our MiloTree pop-up app that so many of you use to grow your social media followers and email subscribers. You install it on your blog in less than 2 minutes. And recently, we are offering MiloTreeCart, which is the easiest way for you bloggers and creators to sell digital products to your audience. I'm super excited. That's like my new baby. One thing that I have been reading a lot about, and I'm sure you have too, is AI, and I think it is going to change our businesses in ways that we can predict and ways we can't. I do have a few predictions I wanted to share. One is I think there will be a premium placed on real, whether that be real photos, real video, showing up live. I think that as content just becomes written by AI, that is what people are going to crave. I also think search is going to change, especially as we go to something like ChatGPT to answer our questions. I think blog traffic will probably diminish a little bit at least. And so if you monetize via ads on your blog, I think that might be shifting. I also think social media is going to be in for more of a wild ride as we try to decipher what is, again, real and what isn't. So as a business owner, I recommend you think about leaning into selling products and services to your audience, especially where you can be real. So with MiloTreeCart, for example, you can sell paid workshops where you show up live. You can create a membership where you show up live. You can do one-on-one coaching. I think these are all going to be premium products. It's great to start with digital downloads or an ebook. In fact, go check out the episode I recorded last week where I just walked through how easy it is now with ChatGPT to write an entire ebook in just a couple of hours. Definitely start there so you can cultivate relationships with your customers and then ultimately funnel them into these more premium products. If this sounds interesting to you, if you have an idea for this, definitely go to MiloTreeCart because just a heads up, we are raising our prices. If you want to get it at our current lifetime deal price, which was always introductory at $349, head there now and buy it and you'll own it forever. Plus, we offer a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. So honestly, there is no risk. If you buy it, I also give you an hour onboarding coaching call where we can talk about your digital product strategy. People who have bought it love it. It's simple to use. It's built for non-techies. You can sell digital downloads, workshops, memberships, subscriptions, coaching, all with it, and free fill-in-the-blank sales pages where you can be selling in about 10 minutes. So head to MiloTreeCart.com, and if you want this, buy it now because prices are going up. For my guest this week, I'm interviewing Elizabeth Stapleton. She is a lawyer and blogger, and she helps bloggers stay compliant when it comes to the legal issues of running an online business. And you might know her because she hosts a very popular blogging summit called the Blogger Breakthrough Summit. She does this every January. And what I asked her was what were the trends she was seeing this year. It was interesting to hear her responses. We talked about how the economy is impacting our businesses. We talked about how maybe social media isn't as important as we all think it is, and how putting together the pieces of your business in an incredibly thoughtful way is how you have success. It's no longer about throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. Also, she's a lawyer, and we talk briefly about what it takes to protect yourself as a blogger. So without further delay, here is my interview with Elizabeth Stapleton. Elizabeth, welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
You are a fellow blogger. So can I ask you, when did you start your first blog? What inspired you? And why did you think this was interesting and something you wanted to explore and dig deep in?
Sure. So I started my very first blog back in 2014. I saw, how to start a blog tutorial, which basically just walked me through buying hosting. So they got an affiliate commission. That's a whole nother story. But I started because I saw it as a way to make money. I kept seeing all these people and these income reports and stuff like that. And I was, a couple of years out of graduating law school, and I have a lot of student loans and a lot of student loan debt. And so, I wanted to make extra money, just help pay off some debt. And eventually it morphed into, becoming my business and what I do and being able to live life on my terms and my schedule and stuff, because I found I didn't love my corporate job. So yeah, that's kind of how it all came about, and it's evolved. And that was a personal finance site, which I still have to this day. And now I have all these other sites as well, because once you start, you usually get multiple.
Do. It's like we started with Catch My Party, and then we ended up building a piece of technology, our MiloTree pop-up app, and we're like, hey, we could sell this. And then we launched a membership, which led to us coming up with the idea for MiloTreeCart. So when people ask me, for example, how did this all come about? I'm like, ooh, it's just kind of like you go down these paths.
It's crazy. You never know where it's going to take you. My first guest post ended up in someone's published book.
Really? Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. You never know where stuff's going to take you.
I would say, in my experience, it's about putting stuff out there and listening and seeing where you get traction. Like, where do you come up with that good idea that other people are saying, that's a good idea? And then you have to go back and then kind of create a narrative that makes sense, because when you're going forward in it, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I'd say, like, because there's a lot of ideas and everything out there. And I think you need to just sit back and be like, well, what do I like about that idea? And what do I don't? And how can I make it my own? And that really makes you stand out, even if people are doing similar things.
Ooh, okay. So you run a summit. And as you just shared with me, you've done it 4 times, and it's called the Blogger Breakthrough Summit. And I love that you do it in January, where everybody's really kind of, this is my year. So you just did it.
Yes, it just wrapped up. We're recording.
And how many experts do you have in this summit?
So I aim for 50 at least.
Wow.
So it's a big summit, but I break it. So I try to not make it too overwhelming for my audience. I have the sessions broken out as for beginners, intermediate, and advanced. So I'm not trying to get people to attend all 50 plus sessions. And I, in fact, encourage them not to try to do that, because it's too much. I tell them pick a level, stick with that. So, and those generally have, the advanced, I'd say, has the fewest, because, it's more focused. But I'd say intermediate and beginner tracks usually have about 20, 25 sessions. So
wow,
just depends.
So based on this last year, I feel like this is almost like a new year, because we're coming out of the pandemic and things are hopefully coming back to a semblance of normalcy.
Sure.
What trends did you see this year that you remarked on and said, ooh, that's an interesting trend?
I think something I'm seeing over and over again is pricing changes. So a few years, not even a few years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, it was all about, price your value, like, consider your expertise, which is great. I'm not saying don't do that, but with the recession and everything, people just can't afford that. And so I'm seeing, like, offer more discounts, offer lower pricing, do a storefront that's lower pricing, for your one-on-one stuff, make sure that tripwire is a really good deal, so, like, I'm seeing kind of, like, I feel like pricing's going down, sales are going up, but that's because you're making it affordable for people, even who might be struggling with the recession, especially in the blogging space. A lot of people started blog to make money, because they need more money. And so I feel like I'm really seeing a lot more affordability in pricing and payment plans.
Interesting. Well, especially we talked about this before I pressed record. Yeah. Digital products are so powerful, because if I sell 1 ebook or I sell 1,000 ebooks, it doesn't cost me any more for the 1,000 sales.
Yep. Yeah.
So how can I, up my sales, lower my price and up my sales? I mean, that's always a tricky thing, because I then need more customers.
Yeah. So growing your audience, and I feel like, and I've seen a lot of success with this. I've seen the most success with this. I've never been great at social media. There are people that grow their audience with social media, and I'm like, well done, you. Like, that is one route. Another route is collaboration and bundles and summits, and you can grow your audience. I think the last bundle I participated in February, I grew my audience by like 600 people, which is huge, right? Like, that's
So you're
all I
talking
did
about
was like,
email subscribers.
yes, I'm talking about email subscribers specifically. I mean, you can grow your social media, like that's great. But email subscribers that you can email directly, be like, here's a sales link to my sales page, right? And you're gonna find out, if it's gonna convert or not or whatnot. So I find for me, I feel like there's two different routes in business. So there's the people that are really great at social media and they grow that way, and they grow their email list that way, they grow their sales that way. That's great. I am not a hugely social media person. I'm a lurker. I lurk on social media all the time. I don't know how to do anything on Instagram. But I focus on growing my list. I'm more of an introvert, believe it or not. And so I can email my list, and that's fine by me. I've gotten really comfortable with that over the years. So that's my focus, is just getting them on my list, whether that's by being on a podcast or by being in a summit or by being in a free bundle or a paid bundle. Just getting more people on my list, because that is my primary method of communication. I'm really good about being regular about emailing my list. So I would say you don't have to do social media. If you want to, go ahead, do you, right? One of my speakers this year, when we did the live panel, we were talking about how she was moving more towards offering one-on-one services and higher paid like coaching things. And I was like, I actually phased out client work last year. I don't want to do that. I'm geared more towards digital products. So I wouldn't say there's any one way to do things. It's kind of just what fits your personality, and then kind of what is working in that space right now.
One thing that I'm seeing that you are touching on is a shift between social, like what you were just saying, social media and growing your list. Social media, I feel like we all got trapped in this world of social media where it was a lot of look at me, and my follower count is growing, and I feel good, like I'm working on my business. But it's not necessarily trickling down to my bottom line, but I know it will eventually.
Sure.
And there's a lot of like wishful thinking in that, but it also feels good to be like, whoa, I got 100 new Instagram followers. And I feel like since the recession, I feel like there's been a little bit more of an awakening of, what is my ROI, my return on investment for doing reel after reel after reel? And I'm not seeing any money from it, because as you were saying, we all need money right now. Therefore, when you say I'm growing my list, and I've been like beating that drum for a very long time, there is money in your email list. It's not sexy. It's not sexy, but people, if they get on your list, you can cultivate that relationship. You can say, here's the value, and you will, chances are, make many more sales through email than you will on Instagram or TikTok. You have to be very savvy. That's what I would say. You have to connect more dots to be selling on TikTok than you do necessarily sending an email to your list. But it's not as sexy. It doesn't feel as ego-y. It's not like stroking you in a variety of, that sounds dirty, but just like it doesn't feel as good, but yet it's more real and it leads to dollars.
Yeah. Because I think my Instagram, I maybe have like 300 subscribers or like followers on Instagram, whatever you call them. And I'm terrible at posting on there. Like but my email list is like, and I host it on ConvertKit, and they, how they have that, like, how healthy is your list? Like 90% of my list is 5 stars healthy. Like, it's very engaged. It's very focused. I clean my list, so I'm not having to pay for dead weight. And it's thousands of people, right? So I don't really care if my social media doesn't look like I do a whole lot. My email list, my Facebook group, which I would say is the one social media I do try to actually make an effort with, have people, they are engaged, but my email list is number one. Absolutely. Like, I wouldn't have a business without my email list.
And how then do you recommend people sell in email? Like I've got you on my list and it's like, do I just send you my most recent blog post? Like, what do I do? How do I translate that into money?
Sure. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. So I think I told you before we hit record, every February I run Freebie February. So I've just done the summit, which is free. And then I go into Freebie February and I send them a free resource or tool every single day. I missed one day this past year because I got sick with COVID. The fact I only missed one, I'm pretty proud of. But so I send them, and a lot of times it'll be an affiliate link for that tool or for someone else's freebie that leads into, I know it leads into a funnel. Sometimes it's the last day I did like a free $5 to my Shopify store, and that generated $100 in revenue, of just people being like, oh, actually, I want to apply that $5 to a product that's more than $5, or I'm going to add this to cart. And that's totally brand new. I really didn't have any upsells or anything set up there. That was just like hey, I'm getting this started. But it led to other sales, of other products. I mean, I generated like $4,500 in digital product sales last month from email, sending out free things. Hey, I have this free webinar. Well, at the end of the webinar, there's a sales pitch. So you don't necessarily have to sell directly in the email. You can send them to free things that lead to paid offers. There were a couple things that I did directly sell. I was like, hey, we've talked about digital products and how important they are. And I gave you this post of 102 digital product ideas. If you're looking for a really easy way to turn a blog post into an ebook, I recommend Designer. It's got a lifetime pricing of $27 or whatever, so like basically treating them how you would your friends, right? Be like, oh, if you want to get started with this is what I recommend. And hey, it's worth the $30, or hey, yeah, it's free to start, test it out. And then that can, so like just treating them like your friend of like, hey, if you were helping them to get started with this, where would you send them? Would you send them to a product? Great, do that. Would you send them to a webinar where they learn something and then they could potentially buy something to help? Do that, So, and it was sending freebies to my list all month, and I had a 5-figure month digital product sales wise. That didn't include affiliate.
Okay, so tell me if this is correct. Like, this is what I'm hearing you say. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing you say that when you sell through email, it is more like speaking to a friend. Whereas in social media, it's like one-to-many. Even though I know you're supposed to be as if you're speaking to a friend, but it feels a little more performative. Hey, look at me. I'm talking about this thing. Look how smart I am. Look how much I know. And in email, it's much more like, hey, I got this cool thing. I want to hook you up.
Yeah.
And the second thing, though, that I would say is it takes some foresight. It takes some planning, much more than I need to do a reel today. I'm going to do, here's my cat, and we're going to kind of be on topic maybe, but it could just be like funny things with my cat. Instead, what you are saying is it's incredibly intentional. You've got 28 days in February. What is a product you could sell that makes sense, where you write the email, where you think about, I got to be on this person's affiliate, their affiliate plan. I need to make sure my links work. Like it's not as glamorous. It is much more work to put the things in place. But once you have them in place, it becomes like a well-oiled machine. Now you can reuse these emails next year.
Yes. So I reuse a lot of them. So the reason I only missed one day, even though I was real sick with COVID, is because I just went to one I sent the previous year or the year before. I think I've done this for 4 years now too, maybe 5. I don't know. So I was like, copy paste. Like I do not have the energy to think of anything. I've got 10 minutes of energy to go to my computer and get this sent out. So a lot of it was reusing, and that's kind of the beauty of like, once you do it once, it's a lot easier to use. Even if you like, some stuff doesn't work. Like when I first started this, it was actually a focus on promoting previews for one specific company that I knew always did a launch in March. And then they shut down their affiliate program. Like I'm really not a fan of their business practices anymore. Anyway, it just was a little sketch. Anyway, so, the next year I did Freebie February, like half of my freebies were for this company. So I had to come up with other things. So yeah, but it still gives you a starting point, right? If you have half of them. But yeah, just think of different ways, kind of outside the box. I do February, obviously, because it's the shortest month. And sometimes I do a direct sales pitch of things, right? It just really depends on what promotions I've got going on. This next month I'm going to be promoting more about a summit that I'm in. I will likely promote this podcast episode. I will, so there's just different things I've got. I have a calendar that I keep track of what promotions I have going on so that I can plan ahead of what do they need before I get to this promotion? Because that's going to help set them up to be a buyer if it's a product.
The thing that I see over and over again is planning. Like as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking in terms of MiloTreeCart, and immediately the wheels are turning, and I'm like, how can I help people plan? How can I help them put together the different products so that, for example, my freebie directly makes sense, that my tripwire, which comes off of my freebie, and your tripwire, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is once somebody signs up for your list because they want whatever it is you're offering for free, on the thank you page, there is a sales page for something that's like a no-brainer. Usually you're not selling $1,000 products on your tripwire, but it's like, hey, for $20, get this for a limited time and people will purchase. Then it's, how does that lead into my next product where it's probably more expensive? You probably get more of what you're looking to achieve. And it's like, how do the pieces fit together? And this is very different from I forgot I need to make a TikTok today. I mean, you could have your TikToks be strategic, but for the person who's like, oh, shoot, I need to feed the algorithm. I need to feed the algorithm and feel good about myself. I would say the strategy that you're talking about is the strategy I am hearing now over and over again for people getting serious about business building.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, so the summit that I'm in let's look next week, I am not actually expecting to grow my list a whole lot because my freebie that I mentioned is not at all related to what I presented on. And that's just because I got COVID and I didn't have time to create something that would fit really well.
Can you share what you're talking about, what your freebie is, so people go, oh yeah, I see that there's the connection.
Yeah, so I did, my session's all about, why I think you should be offering lower price payment plans. And we talked about the success I've had with those before we hit record. And then my freebie is just like my free, blogging success planner. Like it doesn't tie at all. And I was like, is there anything I could quickly adjust? And I was like, COVID brain. I don't know if any of you have had it. I was like, I can't think. No, we're just going to do my regular free CTA I have on my site because I just don't have it in me to do something. So I'm like, it'll be great for building, expertise, but I'm not expecting to see a lot of list growth from it, which is fine. I've already seen quite a lot of affiliate sales from it. So it worked out. But I'd be surprised if I got a big list growth there because it's just not related.
Got it. So for example, what I've done recently talking in summits is talking about digital products, why they're so valuable, but then saying, well, if you don't know where to start, I have a quiz for you. And I talk about this in the podcast and stuff, and many of you have gotten this, but it's like, oh, okay, I hear what she's saying. It all makes sense. But then when I step away and go, now I need to start this, I don't even know where to start. So I'm like, start here. Start with this kind of fun personality quiz. And it will tell you for your first digital product, do a digital download, do a paid workshop, or do one-on-one coaching based on your personality. Not only that, it has a worksheet so that you can go, oh, now I can start ideating. What would that digital product be? And ultimately, my goal is to get you excited about wanting to sell digital products so that you go, hey, the easiest way to start, MiloTreeCart. Cool. And wait, then I try to lead them into book a session with me. Again, no heavy sell. It's really to hear it's customer research for me. Also, it's value for you. So it's a win-win. I hear what you guys are struggling with, and I can say, hey, if this would work for you, this might be the solution. And you get to hear oh, this is how I would push my business forward. This is what it would look like. I get to paint the picture for you to say, does this work for you?
Yeah. Like in May, I'm speaking at a summit and I'm speaking on properly disclosing affiliate links. And then my freebie is, hey, here's an affiliate disclosure swipe copy, right? Ooh, it's really well tied.
I need that.
I expect my list to grow with that. And they're going to then be interested in my legal templates, right? So that I expect to see a lot more list growth with than I do this summit. Not because the summit isn't excellent, it's because my freebie isn't related to the session I'm teaching.
Right.
It's a disconnect. So it's just, yeah. So being kind of aware of that. And I see that with my own summit as well. A lot of the speakers, I'm like, I feel like your freebie doesn't really connect to your session, but that's your choice, So, and I find the speakers that do really well and have a really great growth are those that, it's related. So.
Do you have an example off the top of your head? I don't mean to put you on the spot of somebody who speaks on something and then has a freebie where you go, no brainer.
Oh, like a no brainer one. Someone who speaks on like batch planning and they use Trello and then the freebie is a Trello board that helps you get started. Like that was like, I feel like that worked really well for them.
So for you, when you think about connecting these dots, so ultimately you're a lawyer and your goal is to get people to buy your legal templates, right?
For one of my sites, yes.
Okay, for one of your sites.
It's a little bit different, but yeah.
Okay.
And quick disclaimer, I'm an attorney, but I'm not your attorney. This isn't legal advice. This is informational and educational purposes only.
I love that. Yes.
Yes. So like I do sell legal templates to help people, because
for bloggers.
For bloggers, for online bloggers, online business owners, attorneys are expensive, right? And when you're starting a blog, like you can really bootstrap a lot of things. You've got to pay for hosting, you've got to pay for a domain, but really you can bootstrap almost everything else except for I'd say the legal stuff. But most bloggers also don't have $500 to pay an attorney, and even some of the templates out there are that much. So I really focused on creating super easy to use templates where it's like, fill in this form, it will pre-populate the template with your information, watch this video to see if you need to adjust anything, paste it on your site, right? Like super simple and affordable, so I don't offer huge discounts. I see these other people offer like 40% discount on these templates. I'm like, well, they're priced twice as much as me. I purposely priced it to try and be as affordable as possible. So anytime I want to grow that, I look at some of the freebies I have in there. So recently I submitted a course that I have. It's called GDPR Step by Step. It's a paid course. It was part of a bundle that they got for free. The bundle was free as well. But it was a great way to grow my list of people who are trying to figure out the legal stuff. They're trying to figure out GDPR and how do I make my site GDPR compliant? Oh, I'm going to need a privacy policy. Hey, I've got one for you. So it all kind of leads at what are some of the things they need to know to understand that your product is the solution to their problem.
I want to take a short break to say that as we move into uncharted territory when it comes to business building, you can really protect yourself by having multiple income streams. Now, many of you already are selling products and services to your audience. I'm a huge proponent of that because you get to own that relationship. Get my checklist of the 10 mistakes you want to avoid when selling digital products. Just make sure that you have bulletproofed your business. You can get the download at MiloTree.com/mistakes. Just make sure you're not falling into any of these traps. Again, MiloTree.com/mistakes. My goal is always to set you up for success. And now back to the show. So we have our site, Catch My Party. And I was talking to my VA. And what we do is we have real parties that people upload to our site. So if you want real, and as we're moving into this world of Chat GPT, it's hard to determine what's fake and what's real, what's written by a bot and what's real. Well, guess what? We have real parties with real party photos. So we have pages and pages for every theme. You want to throw a Paw Patrol party. Great. We got a whole theme and probably at least 100, if not more, parties that people have uploaded to our site. Well, we link to that page, but we link to it where it says Paw Patrol. And I said, what we need is a link that says, browse real Paw Patrol parties here. And we link to real Paw Patrol parties, because instead of me thinking, oh, you're going to know just to click on the link that says Paw Patrol, no, you're probably going to miss that. But if I spell it out right there and say these are real parties, I might even say hundreds of real Paw Patrol parties, you are more apt to click because it makes sense to you as the person coming to the site who has no idea what this site is. Like, I got to spell it out for you. Like you were just saying, GDPR, God, that sounds so awful and so complicated. But if you can go, no, one, you're a blogger, you need to know about this. But don't worry, I'm going to break it down for you and make it not painful. It's not going to give you a headache. All you need to do is buy this template for $67. I'm going to make this thing that gives you a headache, not give you a headache. I'm going to give you exactly what to put in your blog. Boom, problem solved. And I'm going to walk you through the whole thing so that you're going to think I'm your best friend.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, it's a whole different way of, oh my God, I got to create a TikTok. Oh my God, I got to put up a reel. Oh my God, I got to kind of spit it out there. Instead, it becomes, no, I'm your problem solver.
Yeah.
I'm going to make your problem go away. And so I just feel like this, at least for me, is where I'm seeing things shift. It's almost like a sense of seriousness.
Yeah. That's really what you're there to do. That's really what blogging has always been too, right? It's answering questions people are searching for. It's, providing solutions for the problems they're trying to solve. It's being that connector. And sometimes you're connecting them to one of your products, right? Sometimes you're connecting them to someone else's and you're getting an affiliate commission, I'd say those are the two ways that you have the most control as a blogger in terms of earning income. Ad revenue is great. I feel like that's always going to be a secondary method of that's nice to have. You can build that up and grow it a lot, but you also can't control it when the RPMs change and the seasonality of Q4 versus Q2 and, how much you earn. And I feel like you've got a lot more control in terms of affiliate marketing, selling digital products, or even offering services if that's something you want to do. But yeah, so I feel like
I interviewed a food blogger once and she sold food plans. And not only though did she sell her own, but she recognized that she was in a very specific niche, a very specific diet niche, but people would come to her blog with other dietary needs. So what did she do? She sold other people's food plans that she believed in to help her audience. And it wasn't just all about pushing people to buy her food plan. And I thought to myself when she said that, feels counterintuitive. Like, why would I promote like a possible competitor? Not an exact competitor, but found that this other product solved a problem that her audience could have, and she could then benefit and make money from it. I always thought, God, that's so genius.
Yeah, always think about what is going to be the best solution for the person on your site. And then look at, okay, how can I monetize telling them what their solution should be?
Exactly. Okay, so let's just pivot for a little bit in the little time we have left to talk about the legalese of blogging and how serious bloggers should take that.
Sure. So it's something a lot of bloggers want to bury their head in the sand about, or they'll use a free template, or they think they have to hire an attorney to get it all right. And yes, hiring an attorney is always going to be the best option, but not everyone can afford that. So getting templates. So especially over the last few years, GDPR came into effect in 2018.
Can you explain very briefly what is GDPR?
Is General Data Protection Regulation out of the EU. Basically, I don't know if you remember, but before this came into effect, you'd see headlines constantly of, Target's credit system was breached 2 years ago, right? And all these data breaches that you were finding out years later, right? That your stuff was compromised. So basically, what GDPR and similar data protection regulations do is they require you to, obviously be better at securing data if you hold any, but also to notify within a timely manner of 48 hours if there's been a breach, so people can actually protect their data.
Here's one that we, for example, had to deal with. So MiloTree, our pop-up app, you can grow your email subscribers with it.
Yep.
But it used to be back in the day, if you got my freebie, you
I got
didn't
your
have
email.
to, yeah, you didn't have to disclose that not only are you getting this, but you are agreeing for that I can now spam you with email, whether you like it or not.
Well,
And
we
now
don't spam. We're awesome business owners. We don't spam people. Let's just
true, but you now have to make sure that you disclose that if
and
in
consent.
fact you're getting my freebie, I'm adding you to my list.
Yeah, so consent is another big part of these data privacy regulations in terms of users consenting to how their data can be used, like you said, being added to email lists or not. And it's actually quite complicated. I can't cover that quickly. I do have a free ebook on GDPR, and especially with list growth and how you can comply if you want that. That's elizabethstapleton.com/resources. It's a free ebook on GDPR. That really breaks it down. So it's about, it's not allowing companies to be sketchy is really what it comes down to. And so it's not a bad thing that bloggers need to comply, because it's just requiring you to be open and honest with your audience, which I think is always going to make it easier to build trust. So if you approach legal from that perspective of, hey, it's how I can be open and honest while also protecting my business, it's a lot easier to approach, right? A privacy policy, it's, I'm telling you how I'm going to use your data and how I'm not. Terms and conditions are saying, hey, this is my site, my rules. So if you don't like it, you don't need to be here. These are my refund policy things. These are, if you're going to come after me, this is where you're allowed to come after me at. It's going to be my turf. So if you kind of approach it from that perspective, I think it's a lot easier to recognize the importance of it, but B, that it's not super scary or hard.
Oh, I like you saying it's not super scary or hard. So I need a privacy policy just to start to protect myself.
Yes.
I need a privacy policy, terms and conditions. What do I need?
Sure. So privacy policy is a must. And actually WordPress has started, especially since the implementation of these, they have like a template privacy policy. That's great to start with. If you really have nothing, you can start there. But privacy policy, disclosures and disclaimers. So disclosures, if you're doing any sort of affiliate marketing, you have to disclose that according to FTC rules, which is the Federal Trade Commission in the US. But certain affiliate programs might have additional requirements for disclosures. Amazon's famous for this. They want you to use specific wording. So disclosures and disclaimers, but also disclaimers just like saying, hey, like, yes, this is a personal finance site, but I am not a, financial advisor. This is not expert advice. This is my opinion. This is what I've learned. I'm sharing for, informational purposes. Or, hey, I may be a nurse, but this isn't a medical site. Or, look, if you take action on this, it's not my fault if it doesn't work out. Like, I can't guarantee you're gonna, book 17 dog sitting clients in a day or whatever. So those sort of things, limiting your liability, having a clause in there that limits your liability, says, hey, I'm not perfect. There might be errors on this site. You can't sue me because of that, because I'm telling you that there might be errors. So that is important. Terms and conditions. So some of those can kind of fall under terms and conditions, but terms and conditions, I'd say, are especially important if you're going to be selling digital products or services. Because you really, there's a lot of things you can do in there, but you really want to spell out, your refund policy, your cancellation policy, things like, hey, if you want to sue me, you've got to do it in this place, like your jurisdictional policy, or if you require arbitration or whatever. So your terms and conditions, if you're just starting out and you're not selling digital products and stuff, you could probably get away with waiting a while on those if you really want to. But they're an absolute must, I think, if you're selling digital products. They're really saying my house, my rules. Like, that's really what terms and conditions are. But yeah, so those are kind of the big three where you're doing a privacy policy, terms and conditions, disclosures, and disclaimers.
Okay, but are you my girlfriend? Like, I don't have to write this from scratch.
No.
So tell me, what do I do? Like, I don't know. Okay, what do I do?
Okay, so if you're wanting to get templates written by a lawyer, I have them. So I have actually the best deals on my site are bundles. So I have the Blogger Essentials bundle, which is for brand new bloggers. Like it's the privacy policy, it's the disclosures, disclaimers. I think I include an ebook to help you just better understand the legalese of stuff going on. And that's like $99. I might have a split pay option. I'd have to double check that. And then you can always upgrade once you buy that later to the website legal templates bundle, which is got terms and conditions. It's also got affiliate terms and conditions. So if you sell digital products and you have an affiliate program for your own products, you need terms and conditions for that as well. And it comes with lots of other bonuses and hey, here's LLC guide, and here's how you start your business with your Secretary of State corporation site, and here's all these other things that just GDPR step-by-step is included in those as well. So basically the way any of my templates work is, if you buy them in the bundle, is you get to use the template generator. So you fill out a form, it pre-populates your information into the template. So you're not having to go through and be like, where are all the places where I have to change my name? Where are all the yellow highlights? Right? I think there's like one section of yellow highlights because it's like, hey, if you're not going to do this, you can delete this part. So they're super simple to use, and then you just copy and paste on your site. So those are my templates. There's a lot out there, but
so here's my question. I'm a brand new blogger, or I haven't thought of this and I really need to do this. How much time would it take me from the moment I purchased your product to having it done and on my site?
Maybe an hour.
Okay, good.
Maybe. Honestly, like 30 minutes. It kind of depends on how like deep you want to dive in and make sure things are like, customized to you. In terms of like, hey, I don't need this clause, or I do, because I do have, each template has an explainer video that's like, let me explain what all these things mean in here, so you can decide if you want to keep them or not. So if you're going to watch those, an hour, because they're like 15 minutes each.
Okay, you've calmed me down. Like, even though we have all of this on our sites, always it gives me anxiety and makes my head explode. So I love that you walked through what you need if you're a beginning blogger and what you need as your first upgrade. Then am I good?
You're good for a while. I'd say once you start hitting a certain point in income and in, global reach, that's when you want to probably look at consulting with an attorney, right? And getting some custom things and making sure you're just not missing anything that's specific to your area, right? Because I don't know where you're located, but Texas. Okay. I don't know if Texas has any specific laws on this, right? That they require online businesses to do, so it just, there might be some specific weird jurisdictional thing that requires you to register a business license, even as a solopreneur. But in North Carolina, you don't. So there's little things like that. Additionally, you will eventually, the one area of law you can't really DIY is trademark. Like you need to hire a trademark attorney if you want to go protect yourself with a registered trademark. So once you reach the point of being able to afford that, I would reach out to an attorney for that purpose.
So you're saying to me, I can DIY it really, really quickly, and it will hold me over for a while. And then when I need more legalese attention, I can pay for it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly.
I love that. That is so clarifying. And it's funny, before we press record, I'm like, okay, let's talk about the legal stuff. But like, I promise you, it feels like medicine. And you said, we're going to do it with a spoonful of sugar. And I feel like you have done that.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate it. So, okay, if people want to reach out to you, learn about both your blogging summit coming up, we talked about it in 2024 now, and also your legal stuff, where should they go?
So ElizabethStapleton.com is where all the like legal side of blogging is. And there's lots of different articles on there that can help you and just resources if you're confused. And then bloggerbreakthrough.com is where the summit is. If you want to like reach out to me and ask a question, shoot me an email. hello@ElizabethStapleton.com. Like I said,
wait, say it slow. Say it slow so people.
I will. I'll repeat it.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm terrible at social media. So if you reach out to me on social media, I don't know when I'll get back to you. But if you reach out to email, you will definitely get a response. hello@ElizabethStapleton.com.
Love it. Well, Elizabeth, I have to say, this has been such a joy. And I love that you have kind of I clarified my thinking on a lot of things and on business growing. So I really appreciate it. I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
I hope you guys like this episode. I think one of my big takeaways is that I could actually hear about GDPR without my brain exploding, and that social media might not be this magic bullet we've all been led to believe it is. Now, for those of you ready to take your digital product sales to the next level, go check out MiloTreeCart. It is built for non-techies. It is the easiest platform you could ever use. Remember, our prices are going up. That's no joke. So get it now because you'll own it for a lifetime and you'll get tons of personalized attention. If you got any questions, reach out to me at Jillian@milotree.com, and I will see you here again next week.